Pashakusha Ekadashi today. So we'll continue with our Adi-lila, chapter 17, when the Kazi gets intimidated, attacked by all the devotees. Agyan timirandasya gyananjala shalakaya chakshu unmilitam jena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Gurave Gaudachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shwapadantikam. Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajavi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurana Varatino Samadapaitam Unnata Ujjvala Rasam Svabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Tikatam Basadipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamanapaityam Apaityakrityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Matayottara Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya vihina aparara lakshay shiptasya karmadi tarangamadye kripa maitvam sharanam prapanna brinde namaste charanarvindam bhajami radham aravinda netram smarami radham madhurasmitasyam vadami radham karuna varadram tato mamanasti katyena kapi tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat Pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Adi-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Adi-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto our dearmost Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, and to all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varg, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat Pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So yesterday we reached the point where the Kazi had broken the drum and threatened that anyone found chanting, etc., or having kirtan was going to be either converted into a Muslim or was going to be given some severe punishment. So this is the nature of the times when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the planet. India was ruled basically by the Muslims. The Muslim government was in Ramkeli. This is where the Nawab Hussain had his capital. And this is also where Rupa and Sanatan were serving at that time to protect the Vaishnavas, because Nawab Hussain had threatened that if you don't come and work for me, I will persecute the Vaishnavas. So they worked for him. Sanatan Goswami was like the Prime Minister and Rupa Goswami was like the Secretary. But this is the climate at the time of Mahaprabhu. All Muslims. We read about the time of Madhavendra Puri when he went to collect the chandan and sandalwood from Jagannath Puri. Had so much difficulty coming through all the toll gates, the Muslim toll gates. So Krishna arranged, Gopal arranged for him not to have to do that. But when we hear about Shivananda Sain taking all the devotees down to Puri, each time he has to go through the different toll gates. Each time it's like problematic for them. So this was how India was. It was ruled by the Muslims, by the Turks and so on. So any ruling party generates a lot of fear. So they brought this fear to Mahaprabhu about the Kazi. Mahaprabhu, of course, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he would not tolerate his devotees being intimidated by the Kazi. So these are his acts after
the Qazi broke the drum. So this is text 129.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Eta Bali Kaji Gela Nagariya Gloka Prabhustane Nivedila Pana Badal Soka.
Translation. After saying this, the Qazi returned home. This is after saying, I'll just repeat that. Next time I see someone performing such Sankirtan, I shall certainly chastise him by not only confiscating all his property, but also converting him into a Muslim. This was his threat. Take his property and convert him into a Muslim. Extreme, heavy. You can't rule people unless you're heavy. So, you know, that's the nature of the ruling party. They have to be like that. So, after saying this, the Qazi returned home, and the devotees, greatly shocked that they were forbidden to chant Hare Krishna, submitted their grief to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 130.
Prabhu Agyandila Yahe Kahara Kirtan Muni Samarinu Aji Sakala Yavan.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered, go perform Sankirtan. Today I shall kill all the Muslims. Now there's a purport. Gandhi is known as having started the movement of non-violent civil disobedience in India. But about 500 years before him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his movement of non-violent civil disobedience to the order of the Chankazi. This is not so common in India, that these civil disobedience riots, so to speak, take place, because the people generally are very dharmic by nature and they follow the government. So, but when the government does something incorrect, like they should not have banned the Hare Krishna mantra, then the whole nation becomes like really charged, unhappy. It is not necessary to commit violence to stop the opposition from hindering a movement, for one can kill their demoniac behavior with reason and argument. Following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whenever there are obstacles, the Hare Krishna movement should kill the opposition with reason and argument, and thus stop their demonic behavior. If we become violent in every case, it would be difficult for us to manage our affairs, because actually the violence would come back on us, because we are so few people, for example, the Hare Krishna movement. If we're doing physical violence, that's not going to work. So we have to go through the courts, etc. And that way. We should therefore follow the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who disobeyed the order of Chankazi, but subdued him with reason and argument. But in the Chaitanya Bhagavat description that I described a little bit yesterday, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just inflamed the local populace. He told them all to light millions of torches, go through the streets with huge kirtans, and the whole crowd, we can imagine an angry mob, practically a crowd, became really angry. They were all saying together, kill the Qazi, kill the Qazi, kill the Qazi. And Mahaprabhu was saying, kill the Qazi. And then they got to the house and Mahaprabhu was still saying, kill the Qazi. Then I was describing yesterday how the devotees petitioned him. No, in this manifestation, we want to reason and debate and not fight. We don't want to have argument, because then other forces will come in and it'll just become very violent generally. That's not the way. This is what Prabhupada is saying in his purport. Text 131.
Garegiya Shabaloka Koriya Kirtan Kachirapaya Svachananda Chananda Nahi Chamakita Man.
Translation. Returning home, all the citizens began performing Sankirtan, but because of the order of Qazi, they were not carefree, but always full of anxiety. Text 132.
Tasabara Antarebaya Prabhu Mana Jani Kaite Lagila Loke Sigra Deki Ani.
Understanding the anxiety within the people's minds, the Lord called them together and spoke to them as follows. Text 133.
Nagara nagare aji karimu kirtan, sandhya kale kara sabhe nagara mandan.
In the evening I shall perform Sankirtan in each and every town. Therefore you should all decorate the city in the evening. So each and every town means in each and every section of Navadvip, all the different Koladvip, what's it called, what's the center? Huh? Janadvip, Vidradvip, yeah, and the center of Navadvip, where the Durga Ma is, where the Pardadvip, Prodadvip, that place in the middle. Paramatala. Paramatala is like a unit together. So all of these places is where Mahaprabhu was planning to go. Paramatala was what I was thinking of. Purport. At that time, Navadvip was composed of 9 small cities. Oh, I didn't have to even say that, it's in the purport. So the words Nagare, Nagare are significant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to perform kirtan in each of these neighboring towns. He ordered the city decorated for the function. Text 134.
Sandhyate diyute shabe jvala gare gare, deka kona kaji ashe mora mana kare.
In the evening, burn torchlights in every home. I shall give protection to everyone. Let us see what kind of kasi comes to stop our kirtan. So Mahaprabhu is ordering everyone to get a torch. He's really inspired. If you've lived in Bengal, you know how excited the Bengalis get in festivals. They get very enthusiastic, you know. So he's working up that mood. Text 135.
Etakahi sandhya kale kale gaura raya, kirtanera kale prabhutina sampradaya.
Translation. In the evening, Lord Gaurasundar went out and formed 3 parties to perform kirtan. Purport. This is a scheme for performing kirtan in a procession. During Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, one party was composed of 21 men, 4 men playing mridangas, 1 leading the chanting, and 16 others striking the kartals, responding to the leading chanter. If many men join the Sankirtan movement, they may follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and form different parties according to the time and the number of men available. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is having this vision when he's writing these purports. His movement is growing so fast. This was in 1974-75. All around the planet there was kirtan movements. This is when you came to this movement, 75. And so many Sankirtan movements were there from the West. So Prabhupada is advising that we make the parties in the same way that Mahaprabhu organized the parties. And actually they were organized nicely. Text 136.
Age sampradaya nitya kori haridas, madhya nache arya goshani parama ulas.
In the front party danced Thakur Haridas, and in the middle party danced Advaita Acharya with great jubilation. Text 137.
Pache sampradaya nitya kore gaura chandra, tanra sange nache buli prabhu nityananda.
Lord Gaurasundar himself danced in the rear party, and Sri Nityananda moved with Lord Chaitanya's dancing. Text 138.
Vrindavana dasa ayer Chaitanya mangala, vistare vanichena prabhu kripa bale.
By the grace of the Lord, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described this incident in his Chaitanya Mangal, now Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I've described already from the Chaitanya Bhagavat of the enormity of the party that Mahaprabhu arranges and all the torches, etc. And they're all going to attack the Chandkazi. Text 139.
E mata kirtan kari nagare Brahmila, Brahmite Brahmite sabe kaji dvare gela.
Translation. Performing kirtan in this way, circumambulating through every nook and corner of the city, they finally reach the door of the Kazi. Text 140.
Taraja Garja Kori Loke Kori Kola Hala Gauda Chandra Bali Loke Rasraya Pagala,
murmuring in anger and making a roaring sound. The people, under the protection of Lord Chaitanya, became mad through such indulgence. The way Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur describes it in a very emotional way, with so many people and the sound vibration roaring. Everyone became very agitated. Purport. The Qazi had issued an order not to perform kirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But when this was brought up to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he ordered civil disobedience to the Qazi's order. Lord Chaitanya and all his devotees, naturally enthusiastic, although agitated, must have made a great noise with their loud cries. We sometimes hear the kirtan parties in Navadvip today. It's as if sometimes the sky is just going to crash open when you hear like 3 or 4 kirtan parties from the different mats come together. They have huge kirtans, I've heard. And it's as if the clouds are just going to break apart. And it takes over the whole atmosphere. So we can imagine this time. It must have been very powerful exhibition of Mahaprabhu's anger. All the thousands and thousands and thousands of people with their torches. Every home, it's described, had 1 or 2 torches, and they would carry oil pots to keep the torches high and flaming. Text 141.
Kirtanera Dvanite Kaji Lokaila Gare Tarjana Gajane Suni Nahoila Bihare.
Translation. The loud sound of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra certainly made the Qazi very much afraid. He hid himself within his room. Hearing the people thus protesting, murmuring in great anger, the Qazi would not come out of his home. It's described that the Qazi sent his servants to see what the loud noise was. He said, is this a wedding or something? Is that Nimai Pandit getting married? Is everyone celebrating? And he sent his servants to see, and they all came running back in fear. And they started to take their turbans off, cut their beards, and they were thinking, like in riots, when in India, they're serious riots, and it's life and death. It's like when Indira Gandhi left her body.
1984 riots.
Huh?
1984 riots.
1984. I had friends. And they were sitting on trains and they saw Sikh gentlemen cutting off their hair, cutting off their beards, because it's Sikhs that had shot. Sikhs, her bodyguard had shot Indira Gandhi. So the whole Hindu nation became angry. This is not like that. This is not as violent like that. But still, when these waves of injustice come upon the populace, who are generally subdued, then if they feel some social injustice, they completely can show a different picture. This is how it is in India. This is the nature. It's volatile. Purport. The Qazi's order not to perform Sankirtan could stand only as long as there was no civil disobedience. Under the leadership of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chanters, increasing in number, disobeyed the order of the Qazi. Thousands assembled together and formed parties, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and making a tumultuous sound in protest. Thus the Qazi was very much afraid, as naturally one should be under such circumstances. So we can understand the mood of the devotees, of just the general populace. The general populace were Hindu, and this was an affront to their religion. Even if they weren't serious Hindus, it was still like an imposition on their core beliefs. So this hadn't been imposed previously. But now they were moving into an area of trying to impose on the very heart of the Hindus there. So now their violence is justified, in other words. They felt justly, dharmically correct in going to the streets in civil disobedience. There was no doubt. And Mahaprabhu, of course, is literally taking away any fear, because he himself, such a huge personality, almost bigger than anyone else, was out in the front demonstrating this absolutely fearlessly. So everyone, and Nityananda was beside him, so everyone was following. That's what civil disobedience rights alike. They all follow, like with Mahatma Gandhi. In the present day also, people all over the world may join together in the Krishna consciousness movement and protest against the present degraded governments of the world's godless societies, which are based on all kinds of sinful activities. Prabhupada's commentaries are very striking. In our present circumstances, actually, today, there are riots going on all over Europe. There are riots in England, in Ireland, you know, I'm not sure, in America something is going on, but and Italy, all these places, they are having riots against the government's restrictions, etc., and lack of food. This has been planned by, you know, the demons. They planned for this. Anyway, it's a long story, but we should, we're not engaging in political activism. We only engage in dharmic, we stand up for dharma when it's necessary. But Prabhupada is saying that we should protest against the present degraded governments of the world's godless societies. And the devotees are always doing like this. They're always making propaganda against the cow killing and so on. Srimad Bhagavatam states that in the age of Kali, thieves, rogues, and fourth-class people who have neither education nor culture capture the seats of governments to exploit the citizens. Isn't it a fact? I mean, it's really, in India, for example, the governments come to the villages and they say, if you don't vote for us, we'll cut your water off. We'll cut your power off. They threaten them like this to vote for them into the seats of the parliament. It's shocking. It's really horrific what they do. And generally the people are very submissive and they just do what they're told. But Prabhupada is saying no. Fight. This is a symptom of Kali Yuga that has already appeared. People cannot feel secure about their lives and property, yet the so-called governments continue and government ministers get fat salaries, although they are unable to do anything good for society. Isn't it a fact? They just make speeches and so on, but what do they actually do? Very little maintenance, mostly just helping them, because the nature of the conditioned soul is to be completely selfish anyway. Who is selfless? That pure Vaishnava. That pure Vaishnava is selfless, and there are very few selfless people on the planet. Everyone is selfish. So the governments are exploiting that, their own selfish ends. And because it's Kali Yuga, everything is demonic. It's supposed to be. We shouldn't be surprised by these things happening. This is how it is. But this gives impetus for the devotees to chant. Because in this darkness of this restless environment, the holy name is empowered. Only this time, in this Kali Yuga, there are 1,000 Kali Yugas in the day of Lord Brahma, and this is the darkest Kali Yuga. And in this darkest Kali Yuga, the holy name has appeared to give us shelter. And if we're intelligent and educated in spiritual matters and understand the Sankirtan Yagya, what's that? Sankirtan Yagya? Sumedashaha. Intelligent men will chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Krishna Varnam, Tvisa Krishnam, Sangopangastra Parsadam, Yagya Sankirtanam Piye, Yajanti hi Sumedashaha. This Yajanti hi Sumedashaha. Intelligent men will perform this. So then we have absolutely no problem whatsoever. Especially if we come to Giriraj Govardhan. It's described actually that the pollution of Kali doesn't reach Govardhan. It doesn't come to Govardhan. You can bring it with you on your cell phone, etc. But actually the influence around Govardhan doesn't contain the horrors of Kali Yuga's practices around Govardhan area. Kali Maharaj can't come here. It's a sanctuary. You know that? For Kali. Kali can't come. We're safe. The only remedy for such conditions is to enhance the Sankirtan movement under the banner of Krishna consciousness and protest against the sinful activities of all the world's governments. We should not kowtow to the Western orders. These non-Aryan, these adharmic ideas, they're all coming from the Western world. They're not born in India particularly. Of course there is sin in India, but that sin has been influenced by the Western propaganda, and so many Indians have gone in that direction, and now they're reaping the benefits of that, or the horrors of that, with their children becoming, you know, crazy and stuff like that. But for the devotees, it's a great support for our forward progress to chant, to take shelter of the holy name. The Krishna consciousness movement is not a sentimental religious movement. It is a movement for the reformation of all the anomalies of human society. If people take it seriously, discharging this duty scientifically, as ordered by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the world will see peace and prosperity instead of being confused and hopeless under useless governments. There are always rogues and thieves in human society, and as soon as a weak government is unable to execute its duties, these rogues and thieves come out to do their business. Thus the entire society becomes a hell, unfit for gentlemen to live in. There is an immediate need for good government, a government by the people with Krishna consciousness. Unless the masses of people become Krishna conscious, they cannot be good men. Prabhupada himself, he went to speak to Indira Gandhi. It wasn't very successful, but he was on a mission to purify human society. This was his mission, and that begins with education. People have to know, for example, who is Caitanya Mahaprabhu? The greater people don't know who he is. When we sit in the Chaitanya Baitak here, I've said many times, millions of people walk right past him. They don't come in. They don't know who he is. Maybe some Bengali philosopher or something like that. They have no idea that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have a wonderful mission. We have a purpose to our existence. Mahaprabhu himself is giving us this gift, this treasure of the holy name. Now we should reciprocate by trying to share this holy name, by writing literatures, by distributing literatures containing the educational understanding of who he is. We have to do that. If we're not doing that, we're not showing any type of gratitude. We've been given a tremendous gift, and we should demonstrate our gratitude for that gift. There is an immediate need for a good government, a government by the people with Krishna consciousness. Unless the masses of people become Krishna conscious, they cannot be good men. The Krishna conscious movement that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu started by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra still has its potency. It still has its potency. Even we are what? 5,000 years into the Kali Yuga, and more than 500 years after Caitanya Mahaprabhu. We see that the devotees are doing so much work actually on the planet, infiltrating all kinds of different places with their books and so on. Millions of books are going out regularly. So it's like that. So we have to support that. That is our duty, to support this. The Krishna consciousness movement that Caitanya Mahaprabhu started by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra still has its potency. Because it's Radharani's potency. This Hare Krishna contains the potency of Shakti, of Radha. Mahaprabhu is taking that, he wants to taste that Shakti himself, and he's giving the potency of Sri Radhika. It's Radhika's mercy on the conditioned souls to give this benediction in this age. Therefore, people should understand it seriously and scientifically and spread it all over the world. The Sankirtan movement, started by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kand, 23rd chapter, beginning with verse 241, which states, "My dear Lord, let my mind be fixed at your lotus feet. Following Lord Chaitanya's chanting, all the devotees reproduced the same mood he chanted. In this way, the Lord proceeded, leading the entire party on the strand roads by the bank of the Ganges. When the Lord came to his own ghat, or bathing place, he danced more and more. Then he proceeded to Madai's ghat. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord, who was known as Vishwambhar, danced all over the banks of the Ganges. Then he proceeded to Barakona Ghat, then Nagariya Ghat, and traveling through Gauranagari, reached Simulia, a quarter at the end of the town. This Simulia is Simantadweep, past the Chaitanya Mat. This is the Chandkazi's place. So Mahaprabhu is going everywhere, all through the township of Navadweep with his... Mahaprabhu so much wanted to inaugurate this, and through the instrument of the Kazi, he was able to get all the people to do it. Without the Kazi, how could he have done it? It's like without Kamsa in Mathura, how could Krishna have done so many activities? Krishna would not have even gone to Vrindavan if Kamsa hadn't been there. But they took Krishna safely to Vrindavan, away from Kamsa. Krishna killed all of Kamsa's ministers, all Trinavrata, Putana, Bakasura, all these persons were Kamsa's ministers. So all this is udipan, stimulation and inspiration for Vrindavan. And this Kazi also is like that. It's the same inspiration. All these places surround Sri Mayapur. After reaching Sumulya, the Lord proceeded towards the Kazi's house, and in this way he reached the door of Chandkazi. Text 142.
Udata loka banga kajira gara pushpavana vistare vinela iha dasa vrindavana.
Translation. Naturally, some of the people who were very much agitated began to retaliate the Kazi's actions by wrecking his house and flower garlands. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described this incident. So in the incident, Mahaprabhu encouraged everyone to smash and burn the house. They all ran into the gardens, they pulled down the trees, they broke the banana trees, etc. They broke the walls of the garden, they pulled all the flowers up and put them in their ears, and they were dancing with them. And they started to break the walls of the Kazi's house. Then Mahaprabhu started to shout, set the house on fire. And this agitated, riotous crowd of Sankirtan, they were on fire. They had their torches and they were battling for Dharma. It was an unjust move that had been made by the Kazi. So they had every dharmic right to do it. So they were fully in their element to chastise the Kazi. But Mahaprabhu was pacified. Text 143.
Tabe Mahaprabhu Tara Devreta Vishala Bhavyat Loka Pateya Kajira Balayya.
Translation. Thereafter, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the Kazi's house, he sat down by the doorway and sent some respectable persons to call for the Kali. So Krishna's Kaviraj writes a different perspective of the pastime. Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it concludes with when the devotees are trying to burn the house down. And then in this very frightening position for the Kazi, then Mahaprabhu leaves, and then he comes to the house of Kolavecha Sridhar. But the whole Sankirtan party moves away. But here in Caitanya Caritamrta, it's described differently, that Mahaprabhu is actually going to have conversation now with the Kazi. Text 143. Oh, I'd already chanted that. Thereafter, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the Kazi's house, he sat, yes, I said that. Text 144.
Dura hoite oila kaji mata noya kajira vishaile prabhu samana kariya.
When the Kazi came, his head bowed down. The Lord gave him proper respect and a seat. The Lord is always doing like this. He's always respectful of everyone. We heard the other day his respect towards the beggar, the astrologer who came, the respect towards Keshav Kashmiri, He's always extremely respectful to these personalities. We should follow this example, because this is what actually converts the soul to becoming respectful. If you're treated with respect, you will respond with respect. If you're treated with aggression and harshness, you will respond that way. Purport. Some of the men in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's civil disobedience movement were agitated because they could not control their minds. But the Lord was thoroughly peaceful, sober, and unagitated. It's not described like this in Chaitanya Bhagavat. It describes the Lord was on fire and was saying, kill the Kasi, burn his house, until he was pacified. But Prabhupada here is saying a different mood. Therefore, when the Qazi came down to see him, the Lord offered him proper respect and a seat, because he was a respectable government officer. Thus the Lord taught us by his personal behavior. In pushing on our Sankirtan movement of Krishna consciousness, we might have to face difficult days, but we should always follow the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and do the needful according to the time and circumstances. Prabhupada is spreading his mission for the whole world here in his commentaries. He wants this mission to go on for thousands and thousands of years. The actual esoteric teachings of Mahaprabhu will not last so long. That Raganuga Bhakti, that Gopi Bhav focus is not going to perpetuate unless there are realized souls to perpetuate it. Because it doesn't, you can't get that Gopi Bhav from just reading books. You have to be with that pure realized Rasik Vaishnava who can actually give you the reality of that. You can't have that without that pure bhakta. So that's not going to, but Shuddha Bhakti, this will continue for 10,000 years. This aspect is going to, so Prabhupada is laying the seeds for this movement of chanting Hare Krishna to continue in the world for 10,000 years, and all his books and so on. But the actual esoterics of Raganuga Bhakti are not going to be so prominent. This is how it is. Raganuga Bhakti is not for the whole world, it's for the exclusive serious Vaishnava who really dedicatedly wants to follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's deeper teachings, which are all described in the 4th chapter of this Adi-lila. This is the most important chapter, which describes Gopi Bhav. But this is not everyone is going to have the courage to follow that path. Certainly they won't follow it unless they are being influenced by a Rasik, Tattvavik, Bhuvak guru. You just won't catch it. It has to be transmitted. Vaidhi Bhakti you can catch and follow the dharmic process. But Rag Marg is different. It's more demanding of your real soul completely. Mahaprabhu gives all the instructions and guidance, but we must search out that Rasik Vaishnava who will lead us in that direction if we have great faith in Mahaprabhu's teachings. And his teachings are enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami in particular, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj himself. Text 145. Prabhu Bolenad Ami Tomara Aima Abhyagata Ami Deki Lakila E Dharma Kemata. Translation. In a friendly way, the Lord said, Sir, I have come to your house as your guest, but upon seeing me, you hid yourself in your rooms. What kind of etiquette is this? I mean, you got a huge roaring party out there saying, kill the Qazi. Of course he's going to hide. So text 146. Kajika he tume aishe kruda hoiya toma shanta karite rainu lukaya. Translation. The Qazi replied, You have come to my house in a very angry mood. To pacify you, I did not come before you immediately, but kept myself hidden. Text 147. Actually, we see historically these personalities who are following this same Chankazi are going to be spoken about in Jaivadhamma. They all became thoroughly purified by their association with Mahaprabhu. and they banned meat eating in their province after this conversation with Mahaprabhu. And today even, those particular Muslims are very pious. And we were saying yesterday how most of the Muslims actually in India were converted from Hindus originally. So they're not hardcore Muslims like in Pakistan or places like that. There's a difference, a distinction. 147, verse 147.
Ebe tumi shanta koile ashi milalan, bagya mora toma hena atita pailan.
Translation: Now that you have become pacified, I have come to you. It is my good fortune to receive a guest like your honor. So Chankazi is also reciprocating this way. 148.
Grama sambande chakravati hoi mora kacha, deha sambande hoite hoya grama sambanda sancha.
In our village relationship, Nilambara Chakravarti Thakur was my uncle. Such a relationship is stronger than a bodily relationship. So Nilambara Chakravarti Thakur's place is right next to Chankazi, just close by. Yes, and this is the father of Sachimata. So Chankazi knew Nilambara Chakravarti Thakur. Purport: In India, even in the interior villages, all the Hindus and Muslim communities used to live very peacefully by establishing a relationship between them. The Muslims and the Hindus lived peacefully. It was the British, in their mood of Machiavellian politics, to divide. The young men called the elderly members of the village by the name Chaka or Kaka.
Chacha.
Chacha, Chacha, and Kaka, uncle. The men of the same age called others Dada, brother. The relationship was very friendly. There were even invitations from Muslims' houses to Hindu houses and from Hindu houses to Muslim houses. Both the Hindus and Muslims accepted the invitations to go to one another's houses and attend ceremonial functions. Prabhupada has to say this. He has to show historically how it actually was. It's only by the machinations, we say, the demonic ways of the British that tried to make this division strong. And there are still parties in India trying to make the Muslims and Hindus antagonistic to each other. But traditionally they were not so much. Even until 50 or 60 years ago, the relationship between Hindus and Muslims was very friendly, and there were no disturbances. Prabhupada is putting it historically here. There were no disturbances. We do not find any Hindu-Muslim riots in the history of India, even during the days of the Muslims' rule over the country. Historically, this is true. This only happened when the British came. It wasn't like that previously. Conflict between Hindus and Muslims was created by polluted politicians, especially foreign rulers, that's the British. And thus the situation gradually became so degraded that India was divided into Hindustan and Pakistan. Fortunately, the remedy to unite not only the Hindus and Muslims, but all communities and all nations can still be implemented by the Hare Krishna movement on the strong, basic platform of love of God. Everyone has a soul. The soul's desire is to be happy, either in the Brahman, the impersonal, or in their service to Krishna as their eternal Nityasiddha identity. What's that? Yes. What's that? Yes. Say it again. Jivera Swarapoi Krishna Ditas. Yes. So this is the nature of the soul. Jivera Swarapoi Nityasiddha. This is the nature of the soul, is to serve the Lord. And if that nature is woke up in anybody, he can be a sweeper, he can be a king, he can be a pujari in any condition. Even in the animal kingdom, we can chant Hare Krishna to them. This is all pervasively attracted or attractive to the soul of all living entities, this Hare Krishna mantra. Text 149.
Nilambara Chakravarti Hoya Tamonana, Se Sambade Hoya Tumi Amara Bangina.
Translation: Nilambara Chakravarti Thakur is your maternal grandfather, and by this relationship you are thus my nephew. Text 150. Actually, many times in Indian culture, because Indians are so family orientated, they have their extended family and their relationships, and they're very important for them. And in Krishna, in Braj Lila, we read in the Gaura Ganadesh Deepika, Radha Krishna Gaura Ganadesh Deepika, that Krishna is practically related to everybody in Braj. Everyone in Braj is his first cousin, second cousin, third cousin, somehow or other, nephew, niece, they're all related to Krishna. So this makes a very particular type of strong relationship, this sambandha. Because relationship is the ultimate basis of our whole process, our relationship ultimately with Krishna. What is our eternal relationship with Krishna as a servant? Text 150.
Bhaginara Kroda Mama Avaisya Sahaya Matulera Aparada Bhagina Nalaya.
Translation: when a nephew is very angry, his maternal uncle is tolerant. And when the maternal uncle commits an offense, the nephew does not take it seriously. So the Qazi is appealing to relationship here. He doesn't want to be killed. He was thinking he's going to be killed, so he's got to do some smart talking here. Text 151.
E mata dunhara kata hoyata taro bitarera atta keho bujite na pare.
In this way, the Qazi and the Lord talked with each other with various indications, but no outsider could understand the inner meaning of their conversation. Text 152.
Prabhu kahe prasna lagi ailma tomara stane kajilahe ajne kare e tomara mane.
Translation: the Lord said, "My dear uncle, I have come to your home just to ask you some questions." "Yes," the Qazi replied, "you are welcome. Just tell me what is in your mind." Text 153.
Prabhu kahe go dubda koya gabi tomara mata vrisha ana upajaya tate tenho pita.
The Lord said, "You drink cow's milk, therefore the cow is your mother, and the bull produces grains for your maintenance, therefore he is your father."
Pita mata marikaya eva kona dharma kona bale kara tumi e mata vikarma.
Translation: since the bull and cow are your father and mother, how can you kill and eat them? What kind of religious principle is this? On what strength are you so daring that you commit such sinful activities? We remember this pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 16, first canto, when Parikshit Maharaj meets the bull who's been chastised by Kali Maharaj in the dress of a king, and Mother Cow is standing by, witnessing this. Very, very beautiful chapter. And Parikshit Maharaj condemns this action straight away. This is when Kali Maharaj has begun, Kali Yuga has begun. But this is the beginning of it in the first canto. All of these histories are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is like the bridge to the spiritual world. Everything is there. Purport. Everyone can understand that we drink the milk of cows and take the help of bulls in producing agricultural products. Therefore, since our real father gives us food grains and our mother gives us milk with which to live, the bull and cow are considered our father and mother. In every village you go in Braj, if many of you watching these live streams today are coming to Vrindavan for Kartik, you'll see in every single village are cow patties piled everywhere, isn't it? On all the walls, drying in the sun. They use the cow patties for fuel. They take the cow milk for the yogurt, for the butter, for the sweets, and so many products. Ghee, in particular, for yajna, for sacrifice. The cow is the carrying the weight of the Vedic civilization. Comes from when the cow, Surabhi cow, was produced from the churning of the ocean of milk. It was Vaishishta Rishi and the Sapta Rishis who took that sacred cow to use the ghee in their yagyas. Without the ghee, the yagyas can't be going on. So it was the Brahman Rishis who took the original Surabhi cow and used that product of ghee in particular in their yagyas. So it's fundamental for all civilization to protect the cow. According to Vedic civilization, there are 7 mothers, of which the cow is one. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu challenged the Muslim Qazi, what kind of religious principles do you follow by killing your father and mother and eating them? In any civilized human society, no one would dare to kill his father and mother for the purpose of eating them. Horrific. When you think about it, it's horrific. Killing your mother and father and eating them. Actually, Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, he says actually human society today has not realized that the most tastiest meat is human flesh. And as this age degrades further, men will start killing other men like cannibals. Because when they realize how tasty is human flesh, it's the most tasty. It's more tasty than cow. But this killing of cow is like killing humans, like killing your mother and father. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu challenged the system of Muslim religion as patricide and matricide. Patricide, this is your father, killing your mother. Matricide. In the Christian religion also, the principal commandment is thou shalt not kill. Who introduced the killing of slaughter? It was the perversion of the Roman order historically. It was not the pure Christians. They were following the orders of Christ. But it was the Roman, with their domination of the world, the Roman Empire. They propagated killing the animals. They took the violence and they turned the heads of the... So they convinced the Christians that it was good to kill the cows. So it's become part of their religion today. But it was not what their original prophet, Lord Jesus Christ, was saying. He was saying, thou shalt not kill. And this means the animals for your foodstuffs. You don't need it. You actually get sick and cancerous with eating these products. This is the direct karma from taking those products. In the Christian religion also, the principal commandment, thou shalt not kill. Nevertheless, Christians violate this rule. They are very expert in killing and in opening slaughterhouses. It's not only slaughterhouses for the animals, it's slaughterhouses for the children's minds. They bring the minds of the young generations into the schools and they program them to be focused on economic development exclusively, not religious matters, not giving them the purpose of life. In our Krishna consciousness movement, our first provision is that no one should be allowed to eat any kind of flesh. It does not matter whether it's cow flesh or goat's flesh, but we especially stress the prohibition against cow's flesh, because according to Shastra, the cow is our mother. Thus the Muslims' cow killing was challenged by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu didn't only go to smash the Qazi, he went to purify him. He went to, and he did purify him, because the descendants we're going to find of the Qazi, their descendants actually, they followed these injunctions now. They all come in Jaiva Dhamma. In chapter 11 it's described. They come to meet the Vaishnavas and they ask questions about deity worship, etc. There's a whole chapter there in Jaiva Dhamma. Text 155. Gaji kahe tomaraya che Veda Purana tache amara shastra ketava korana. Translation, the Qazi replied, as you have your scriptures called the Vedas and Puranas, we have our scriptures known as the Holy Quran. Purport. Chankazi agreed to talk with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the strength of the scriptures. According to the Vedic scripture, if one can support his position by quoting from the Vedas, his argument is perfect. Similarly, when the Muslim supports their position from quotations from the Quran, their arguments are also authorized. Prabhupada is accepting that. When Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised the question of the Muslims cow killing and bull killing, Chankazi came to the standard of understanding from his scriptures. Text 156.
Se Shastra Kahe Pravriti Nivriti Marga Ved Nivriti Marga Jiva Matra Vedara Nished.
Translation. According to the Quran, there are two ways of advancement: through increasing the prosperity to enjoy and through decreasing the propensity to enjoy. On the path of decreasing attachment, Nivritti Marg, the killing of animals is prohibited. So there's this Shreyas and Prayas is there. Prayas is like this, the killing of taking immediate pleasure. But the Shreyas is involved in long-term considerations. Prayas and Shreyas, or Nivritti Marg, it's describing here. Nivritti Marg and Pravritti. Pravritti is like Prayas, it's the immediate enjoyment. Nivritti is the detached place. Text 157.
Pravriti Maga Go Vada Korite Vidi Hoya Shastra Agne Vada Kaile Nahi Papa Hoya.
Translation. On the path of material activities, there is regulation for killing cows. If such killing is done under the guidance of scripture, there is no sin. For example, if you have a yajna, this is why Lord Buddha advented, because the Brahmanas, they were using the Vedic scriptures to kill the cows. They were using that excuse to kill the cows. So Buddha had to banish those scriptures I described yesterday with Madhvacharya. He had to push those Vedic scriptures away because they were using those Vedic scriptures to have an excuse to eat the cow. That's how degraded it had become. So Lord Buddha had to push those Vedic injunctions out of India so that he could establish the non-killing of animals. Purport. The word Shastra is derived from the Dhatu or verbal root, Shas. Shas Dhatu pertains to controlling or ruling. A government's ruling through force or weapons is called Shastra. Thus, whenever there is ruling, either by weapons or by injunctions, the Shas Dhatu is the basic principle. Between Shastra ruling through weapons, the Shastra ruling through injunctions of the scriptures, the better is Shastra. Our Vedic scriptures are not ordinary law books of human common sense. They are the statements of factually liberated persons, unaffected by the imperfections of the senses. Scriptures are written by personalities described as apurushaya, persons who are not of this world. Purush means man. They are aparush, they are not man. They're not subject to the four defects of man. This Brahm, Vipralipsa, Karanapatava, and Pramad. These are the four defects of man. This committing mistakes, madness being the illusion of being the body, and lying and cheating. These are the four defects of man. Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsa, and Karanapatava. So, the Vedic texts are not influenced by those defects. They're written by Apurush personalities, saints. Shastra must be correct always, not sometimes correct and sometimes incorrect. In the Vedic scriptures, the cow is described as a mother. Therefore, she is a mother for all time. It is not, as some rascals say, that in the Vedic age she was a mother, but she is not in this age now. If Shastra is authoritative, the cow is a mother always. She is a mother in the Vedic age, and she is a mother in this age also. Some people will argue like that. Well, in Vedic tradition, yes, you can worship the cow like your mother, but now it's different because it's Kali Yuga, we can kill her and eat her. No, Shastra is fixed across the ages. It has no time line. Shastra is eternal. Where is it coming from? Ultimately, it's coming from the sound vibration of Krishna's flute into the heart of Lord Brahma when he was sitting on the lotus. This is where that Kam Bij mantra manifested, and from there, all these scriptures have manifested from the sound vibration of Krishna's Shabda Brahman. If one acts according to the injunctions, he is free of Shastra. He is freed from the reactions of sinful activity. For example, propensities for eating flesh, drinking wine, and enjoying sex are all natural to the conditioned soul. The path of such enjoyment is called Pravritti Marg, or Prayas. Pravritti Marg and Prayas is the same. The Shastra says, Pravritti Marg Esham Bhutanam Nivrittis tu Mahafal. One should not be carried away by the propensities of defective conditional life, but should be guided by the principles of Shastra. A child's propensity is to play all day long, but it is the injunctions of the Shastras that the parents should take care to educate him. The Shastras are there just to guide the activities of human society, but because people do not refer to the instructions of the Shastras, which are free from defects and imperfections, they are therefore misguided by so-called educated teachers and leaders who are full of the deficiencies of conditioned life. So this is the atmosphere that we're living in. Text 158.
Tomara Vedate Ache Go Vederadvani Attai Go Vadia Kore Bada Muni.
Translation. As a learned scholar, the Kazi challenged Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In your Vedic scriptures, there is an injunction for killing a cow. On the strength of this injunction, great sages performed sacrifices involved cow killing. So this is the part that Lord Buddha had to push. This is the reason Lord Buddha pushed the Vedas out, because there is an injunction for cow killing. But it's not actually killing the cow, it's giving the cow a new birth. It's like a horse sacrifice. It doesn't kill the horse, you rejuvenate the horse's life. You give it a rebirth. That's the potency of the mantras. When the mantras aren't followed properly, when the Brahminical culture is not properly being followed, then all these anomalies, all these disturbances come in. Text 159.
Prabhu Kahe Veda Kahe Govada Nisheda Attai Hindu Matra Nae Kore Govada.
Refuting the Kazi's statement, the Lord immediately replied, the Vedas clearly enjoin that cows should not be killed. Therefore, every Hindu, whoever he may be, avoids indulging in cow killing. Where is the biggest cow killing coming from in India? It's imported. They call it McDonald's. It's in all the cities of India. I hope India today starts to reject this American culture of killing the cows. We have the capacity in India. There's enough numbers of dharmic people to actually eliminate these horrible cow-killing places. And you can just have your samosa, etc. You don't need to have the cow flesh. Purport. In the Vedic scriptures, there are concessions for meat eaters. It is said that if one wants to eat meat, he should kill a goat before the goddess Kali and then eat its meat. Meat eaters are not allowed to purchase meat or flesh from a market or slaughterhouse. There are no sanctions for maintaining regular slaughterhouses to satisfy the tongues of meat eaters. What's happened in India today is because of the pressure from the West to boost their economy, the government has allowed slaughterhouses. Only, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, India was the #1 beef exporter of the world. #1. Argentina was second, I think, and Brazil was third, and Australia maybe #4. India was #1. And today for the skins, cow skins, I think India is still #1. It's so shocking. The government has been hijacked by these Western interests. But I think things are gradually changing because our government today is strictly Hindu, and they are bringing things back to a more balanced place. So it'll take time, but I believe, I'm hopeful that this is actually happening now. This is destined to happen. As far as cow killing is concerned, it is completely forbidden. Since the cow is considered a mother, how could the Vedas allow cow killing? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that the Qazi's statement was faulty. In the Bhagavad Gita 1844, there is a clear injunction that cows should be protected. Krishi Gorakshaya Vagnyam Vishaya Karma Swabhav Jam. The duty of Vaishyas is to produce agricultural products and trade and give protection to cows. Therefore, it is a false statement that the Vedic scriptures contain injunctions permitting cow killing.
Jiyate parayadi tama mare prani Veda Purana achehena agnya vani.
Translation: in the Vedas and Puranas, there are injunctions declaring that if one can revive a living being, one can kill it for experimental purposes. That's what I just said. So this subject matter goes on for some time, so I'm going to stop here today. It's a very beautiful topic that we can all immerse ourselves in. It goes on for many, many pages here, so we're not going to have time to finish this section. This is my last Caitanya Caritamrta reading until after Kartik, until about the maybe 10th of November. Next month, I'm stopping now reading this Caitanya Caritamrta so that I can speak the glories of Brajmandal Parikrama instead for the next month. So every day for the next month, starting from Monday next week, I'll have a prelude on Monday, and we'll go to Durvasa Ashram, we'll go to Mathura, we'll go to some of the places that traditionally we would always visit during my Gurudev's Parikrama party. And then on Tuesday next week, which is the 7th, which is the Purnima, is the beginning of Kartik Brat. So then we will be joining with the live Zoom. So the live Zoom and YouTube will be streamed together, and Facebook will have separately, but that'll also be streamed. So I'll be doing all those 30 days of the Brajmandal Parikrama like in previous years, except I won't be singing the Damodarastakam or different sort of festive kirtan. I'll just be speaking, because last time I got too energetic and got sick at the end, so I have to pace myself. So I'll speak for 40, 50, 60 minutes every day from Monday through till the 5th of November. So Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Ekadasi Brat ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.